This is some dried sword sedge leaves, which have been dried out so they're prepared for weaving. They're not ready to be woven yet, but they're dried enough so that they're now shrunken and reduced enough. And before you use them for any kind of fibre arts, they need to be soaked in water so that they become more pliable. And that's the same with all of the plants. They need to be dried out first after harvesting and then soaked before you use them. That's so that they can shrink. You can get all the shrinkage from them. And also, most importantly, so you can start to understand what they will look like, what colour they will be when they're dry. Because when they're in the finished work, they will be this dry colour. So this is some recently harvested she oak needles, for example. They're still green, and so they've got the same colour on them that they would have on the tree. So what I do when I'm picking my favourite plants is I go to certain particular trees and particular plants, because I know that, for example, that this she oak needle tree, this she oak tree, it's a coastal she oak, it's got really long strands and they're really excellent to work with, and it dries to a really nice even kind of sheen colour. So that's one of my favourite trees, and this is one of my favourite plants as well. This is a coast sword sedge. It's a lot more coarse and stiff. At the moment it's very stiff because it's just been dried, but you can see it's got really nice fleck patterns all through it. And so that texture and that patterning is something that I like to feature in some of my weavings. So for this one you have to work with a large shape because it won't bend into a small shape, whereas different materials that are more flexible you can make smaller or different shapes with them. So it's building up your knowledge and experience of what the plants do, what they look like, and then what you want to do with them as a complete work. So in this one, for example, it's got lomandra and she oak together, and the lomandra here is a different section of the plant to this one. So that way we've got two different colours coming out of the lomandra. And the she oak's all the one colour because I've harvested it from the one tree, even sometimes from the same branch, to get all of the evenness within the fibres. When I start to work with that dried plant, I soak the fibres in a bath for usually at least half an hour, maybe longer, because they're drying for 2 to 3 months minimum. Then they're soaked, and this is lomandra longifolia, another one of my favourite weaving plants. And it's been soaked for about 3/4 of an hour, and I've got it in a wet towel. And so when I'm working with it, you keep folding that towel over it to keep the plant wet, and it keeps it pliable while you're working. And you can also see that even in its dried form, it's got a lighter tip and a darker colour through the back. So you can exploit that two-toning in the work that you're making. So you can use it to make patterns of light and dark shades if you want to. Yeah. So what I'm doing with it today is just making the beginnings of a small basket. So I'm not worrying too much about the different tones that are in here, because I'm just making a small coil basket. If I was making a bigger piece where I wanted to bring out different kind of artistic qualities from these two different colours, I could manipulate it in that way by putting some pieces in that way and then other pieces in around this way. And then you can make different patterns with it. But here I'm just coiling. I've started off a small basket. It's nice and firm. And I've done the centre piece with cornstalk because it's a lot softer. And now as I'm getting to the outer edges where you've got a bigger circle, I'm starting to bring in the lomandra. So when this dries, the corn will go basically all white in the centre, and the lomandra will be the main colour. It doesn't look like that now, but it will change as it dries. So that's what I mean by just building up your knowledge of what you're doing with the plants so that the final result is what it looks like, how you'd like it to look. Yeah. Okay. Shall we go outside and harvest some? Okay, this is lomandra longifolia. It's a really good habitat plant. birds and butterflies really love it, and it's one of my favourite weaving plants. You can see it's got a really long leaf, and the way I harvest this is just to, I've got no gloves on because I want to feel the softness of the fibres, and you just go in and give a gentle pull, and you only take the leaves that come out easily. So you're just picking off very gently some of the new fronds that are coming through, and because this is a very well established and really robust plant, it's doing absolute minimal damage to the plant. The plant still continues, lives, thrives, provides habitat, but you can harvest quite a lot of leaf from it just by being careful like that. So I like to think of it as you just take what the plant wants to give. So it comes easily, you can have it. If you have to struggle with it, you can't have it. You have to leave it on the plant. So again, this lamandra shows you the two different colours that it's got. It's got the really nice white section closer, and then it goes deeper green, nice even green. So when I want to harvest quite a bit of lamandra, I'll take it from, about a range of different plants. It won't all come from one plant. So I might, harvest a little bit out of maybe 10 plants, and then I've got quite a lot to work with. Here we go. Nice and easy, and minimum damage to the plant.
Yeah, we've been here since 2012, and we were working out of Sandy Point, which is near Wilson's Promontory, and we were finding it's a bit too far out of Melbourne. So this has been fabulous for us. It's hours reach to Melbourne. This is the wind dance sculpture, which is a kinetic from marine grade stainless 316. I'll give it a little push for you. So it gets a lovely shimmer in the light. This is another wave sculpture, which is pretty much, well, wave, it's inspired by the ocean. Is Core-10 and stainless steel again. So this is many moons ago. So this was my first kinetic that I built, which it really goes nice in choppy wind because you get the components moving in different directions all at the same time. I've been doing static sculptures for a long time, since 2006, and you're always trying to create flow and movement in the work, and sculptures like this one and so on, you're always trying to create that movement, and the kinetic, it's all there. I've primarily started with rusted steel or Core-10, and I've been slowly over the years, like over the last 5 years, moving more to stainless because I've got access to all the machine shops and laser cutters now. So this is actually 2 sheets of steel, front and rear, and it's welded along the edge, and then I literally blow it up. Which is interesting, and what I like about it, I've got a big bunny in the workshop. It's not predictable. All the others, like 95% or 98%, I know what I'm going to design, and it comes out that way. With the blow-ups, the material does what it wants, and then you're working with how it goes. Well, I was amazed when I did my first one, and it's just great fun. I'll show you the bunny. Yeah. It's a small shop, but it works perfect for, I'm just one up. So this side to the left is the stainless. I don't mix the stainless and Core-10 because if you get any dust from the rust on the stainless, it constantly stains it. So all stainless work on this side, and on this side I do rusted steel or core 10. This is a bunny current project. It currently is 2.4 metres. I'm going to cut the bottom off so it comes to a realistic size. And what I found by doing this piece, the steel will only expand in the wide areas. The minute you go thin, like a narrow section, it won't expand. So yeah, I start them small and then eventually build them bigger. And I've been thinking about my practice, and we've always lived by the ocean, so I've always developed the flow. Say, the example, the flame there, that's just flowing all the time. My favourite metals are rust, always, but it's just, if you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, it's getting boring. and you've got to keep yourself inspired in the studio, and I find the stainless challenging, and I've really enjoyed, moving forward with it, and the kinetics. Once again, I love the movement and the connection to the nature. Mother Nature's actually telling you which way the wind's flowing, how hard it's going. It's just gorgeous. You could get a rusted steel sculpture and drop it, pick it back up, dust it off, and it's okay. But if you do that to a stainless one, I put one little scratch in this one on his ear, and I was there for about 2 hours polishing it out. I was like, oh my. Like it when it's quiet, when it's not busy. So January is always a busy month. Over the winter, I'll have soft music playing. And then sometimes it can go from soft music, calming music, all the way through to dance music, because I like all music. I'm a bit of a neat freak. Even though the workshop doesn't look as neat as it could be, I like things really orderly and tidy. I just find I can work far more efficiently. I like working, generally my main size is 2 metres up to about 3.5. And I found from an artistic point, I find it just as easy to build a big one as it is a small one, believe it or not. So yeah, most of my work tends to be in that sizing, like around 2 metres. What I actually found, say the bunny for instance, he was probably quite a bit wider at the beginning, and as you blow it out, like blow it up, he's getting skinnier, he's losing weight like I need to. And so maybe I need to blow up myself. Yeah, so that's just an area when you're building them, you've got to be real careful. And that's why I've actually chosen the bunny. I wouldn't normally go, I'm contemporary, I wouldn't normally go to doing a bunny, but the reason why I chose the bunny was because it's a large mass here, large mass there, large mass there, and I knew the ear was going to be a problem. That ear, because it's smaller, it doesn't blow out. But what the beauty of this one was, it didn't puff out, but it actually put a nice kink in, so the bunny's sort of got his ear hanging around, which I really love. So I'm really happy for that. So it really comes down to the unpredictability of the material you're working with. So what I love about the mirror stainless, look at that, it's just perfect. So if you build it and don't put any scratches in it like I did earlier, it's great. You can get through it quite reasonably quick, considering it's mirror stainless. So I've stuck to the 1 medium core 10, very architectural work for a long time, and then I went to the kinetics, and it's still architectural at the plinth box component, and then the kinetics, a complete removal, it's stainless. And then I found the blow-ups on YouTube, of all places. I love it, and it's completely different practices where you get some artists that'll do the similar work all the way through. I've really embraced the change, and I quite enjoy it. It just reinvigorates your practice.
This is a big painting of when you come onto Phillip Island. This is real, and this is another headland in front of it, and 3 headlands together caught my attention, and I thought that possibly might make a good painting, but I'm in 2 minds about this one, and I may consider changing it quite dramatically. But I've gone, I was trying to get the surface of the water here with glitter, and I learnt from the kids. The kids came home with some glitter paintings, and I was quite inspired. So I'm using whatever I can to inspire me and make it up as I go along. So I'm using it as a means to an end, and I just want it to give me what I was sort of looking for, and this is what I was doing. I was trying to create the sensation of the shimmering water and looking out over the... So I was using any means necessary or as an experiment, and that's big for me. Experimentation is huge because that's where it comes from, and that's what keeps me inspired. This is a painting of Cape Woolamai, which is my kind of Mount Saint Victor, like Cézanne's Mount Saint Victor. He just painted it over and over and over, and it's my motif, and I've been using it a lot. And it's pink granite, the cape, the headland, and here I've embellished. I've got these waves crashing into the shore, and I've used all my favourite colours, orange in particular. This is a robot that I was working on. I've been doing a series of robot paintings and sculptures, and it's like my tongue-in-cheek version of maybe AI. I'm part of a visual language, and I'm saying the painting should speak for itself, where it doesn't need an explanation, and I want someone maybe who's subjective about it to look at it and maybe feel something. And I can't prescribe what it is, because it has to be their experience in a way, and I respond to pictures like that. I go to a lot of museums, I look at other artists' work, and I respond in a way because I'm familiar with the visual language, and I'm in a funny kind of way, I'm trying to invent my own, and that's the crux of it. And I'm using all different methods, and I'm opening myself to all different techniques and different materials and anything. I don't mind what it is, and I'll accept it, and I've become more and more open in my acceptance. And when I was younger, I dismissed so much of art history because it was really quite confounding, and by dismissing most of it, I found a path into it in a way. And I really liked primitive art, and I liked folk art, and I liked abstract expressionists, and I liked stuff with sort of guts. And these were the works that I would look at, and I'd go on a quest to find in museums all over the world. And then I started to broaden my my appreciation of different sort of... I didn't really like the Impressionists to begin with. I thought it was all a bit flowery and fluffy, and but now I really enjoy it, and so maybe my taste has matured, or my understanding of what might be taste. Some proteas, male and female, which I didn't realise, and a botanical friend of mine told me that that's how they come. It's all cypress pine. I use different types of implements, chisels and saws. There's another floral sculpture out here. When I travel, I have a suitcase and I open it up, and it's a studio pretty much. So just the scale for just how easy it is to work on a smaller scale, and then the big ones that I really like and I enjoy doing, because I like the drama of the size, and I like the impact of something on a colossal scale. And I think I'm young, and I'm healthy, and I can move a big painting around, or construct a sculpture. Well, I'm using the landscape as a kind of a frame. It's like I'm using the construction of it to hang my picture on, and it's a very nice thing to do, because in nature you get all these constructions that exist already. Usually I walk around in the landscape before I do any painting of it, because I like to get the feel of it, and I think the feeling's very important. And often if you're walking around, the sensation of the colours that are there, so it's all in front of you in a way, and then it's just a matter of interpreting it. And sometimes it comes immediately. It's like a alla prima painting in one go, and other times it's I have to wait around and see what happens, and then other times I really just don't feel like working and I do other things. And I absorb things. I go to movies, I read books, I don't know, talk to people, whatever. You've got to come to a point where you can be dexterous enough with your materials and with yourself, and to be confident enough to, and then it's about your ego as well, and whatever you're thinking at the time, and there's a certain amount of attitude in it. I mean, there's a lot of attitude, because that's sort of what it is. It's attitude on canvas, and that's how I approach it, and I just go for it usually. But yes, there is a point where you just say that's enough and it's finished, because paintings have a kind of freshness about them, or I try to keep it as fresh as possible, because if you look at a dead painting, it's not worth anything. It's sort of, it's got to have the zing, it's got to be alive in itself, and if you start to overwork them, you kill it pretty much. And you can work on it over and over and over, and if it looks like it's done immediately, then that's good. But to get to that point is sometimes difficult. But I often work on them over and over, but I've got to make them look fresh somehow. The invention is possibly what I really yearn for. I go for invention.